Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now. I am an arachnophobic. I do not like spiders at all. Don't really like walking into spider webs either. But I do like the World Wide Web, specifically the endpoints on the World Wide Web, websites, destinations. I, of course, remember a time when we didn't have a World Wide Web. It was quite an interesting experience, to say the least. I could never have imagined being where we are today, back when I was just looking at pages of text on the screen, having to imagine graphics or ASCII art, and those graphics were bleeding edge. You'd have to download an image and decode it before you could view it. It was a long time ago. I received an email today from someone who ran across an old video that we had done, and he brought to light a few of his frustrations, specifically with websites. We had Lynx as a web browser, Lynx. You can still download Lynx for your operating system and try it. The big OS war was between OS 2 and Windows back in the day. Does anybody else remember OS 2? Warp? Anybody? Nobody? I played with it once, but it's like, oh, okay. When it comes to web browsers, we have a few choices available to us. It wasn't always that way. We had Mosaic, and then, of course, I do also remember Netscape when it came along. It was a great web browser. In certain ways, it was a great web browser because we didn't really have an alternative until Internet Explorer 2.0 came out. And as soon as IE2 was out, I was like, oh my god, IE2 is so much faster. And then IE3, fast. IE4, IE5, But there was really no alternatives to Internet Explorer on Windows. And Netscape was, it was a dog. It loaded slow. It didn't load web pages as nicely as Internet Explorer did, but it just wasn't a great web browser in comparison to other web browsers after what other web browsers were available. So each web browser that we have even today renders elements differently in the browser. And so there are consortiums that are, put together to develop web standards so that browsers, as they are created and crafted, have a set of standards to adhere to. And despite having these standards, doesn't mean that every browser treats every standard in a similar fashion. And this is why a lot of web developers in the world have become frustrated with certain web browsers over other web browsers. IE has been kind of the whipping boy for a number of years. Internet Explorer and Microsoft's trying to overcome that history. And I think they're doing an okay job. IE10 is certainly going to be a bit better than IE9 and 8 and every browser before it in terms of how it supports web standards. So my question to you, as just a regular old web surfer, you don't do any web development, do web standards matter to you in terms of which web browser you use? I mean, do you use the web browser because it supports the most amount of web standards, or do you even think about that when you use the web browser? Yes, I would hope that you would say, I want the web browser that supports the most amount of web standards, but it just seems to be a case of relativity to me. Do web standards matter to you in your daily use of a web browser on your desktop or mobile device? It's a good question. We ended up sharing the rest of this particular story on LockerGnome.com, linked in the description. You could use your web browser to click the link and to read the story. If you have other insights, feel free to share it.